All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting kind of late today. It is 9:36 on a Monday. Monday was Mondaying, shut in.
School night shorty. School night shorty.
But the reason we're starting so late is because we were working on getting our OBS broadcast Streamlabs and Twitch up and coming so that we can then stream straight to YouTube and Twitch. So that's coming up. We've got the background set. We've got it. It looks pretty good. Just got to put together the actual media that goes into it. So we've got everything but the audio for Norwood into it, which this is technical talk. Some of y'all don't care. But anyway, just know that we almost there.
Grind never stops.
Nope. With that being said, man, let's jump right into this around the league pregame.
I was about to say that's a lie. The grind has stopped for the Lakers, but maybe next year.
We'll get there. We're actually going to save the Lakers for the NBA segment. We lied. We said we weren't going to talk about them, and then the day after the season is over, they just burnt the house down. Shut it. So
you want to know the best part about having a podcast?
Wolf,
we can do whatever we want to. Lie to y'all, tell y'all we're going to talk about the Lakers, and then do what? Pop right back up and talk about the Lakers. But I mean, the Lakers be wilding.
And we got some other folks be wilding too. Shot it. This might be the next. Folks be wilding.
The wild thing.
You got the NFL. You got the Lakers. Baseball, fighting, NASCAR. I mean, it's just
bite them on the face. Bite them on the face.
Be wilding, shot in. Ninjas be wilding. But to jump back into this pregame, man.
You put your right foot in, you put your left foot in, put your right foot out, and you don't do what the Cowboys are doing. That's what you don't do.
So
I'm ready for chaos. Chaos. My bad. I mean,
so with the pregame, Bruce Arians has been in the news, of course, because he abruptly retired and moved to the front office, kind of like Brad Stevens from the Celtics. They ended up promoting a black guy or hiring a black guy as the head coach, kind of like the Celtics. And they're hoping to have the success that the Celtics are having. But Bruce Arians, we said a couple episodes back, I believe it was episode 50, when all of this broke out of everything happening in Tampa Bay, was we always called Bruce Arians an ally. Bruce Arians has always had African-American and men and women. He's had a diverse leadership team on his coaching staff. He's even now for the Bucks before he retired, he had a black offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, black defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, who's now the head coach, black receivers coach, black secondaries coach, black running backs coach, he took the black special teams coach from the Falcons.
And had a black quarterback and gave him all the ability to do everything. Yeah, he let Jameis, and even as black people,
Jameis throw 32 interceptions.
Hey, Jameis, throw another interception. You fired, dog.
Yep. So, but the interesting thing about Bruce Arians, right? He has always beat the drum for Byron Leftwich, similar to what Andy Reid beats the drum for who's their offensive coordinator? Eric Bieniemy. It escaped me. So Byron Leftwich recently was not interviewed for a head coaching job. If he was interviewed one time. And Bruce Arians says, and I quote, "I get credit, and Tom Brady gets way too much credit for what Byron Leftwich does with our offense." Let's break that quote down for a second.
Wait, he is writing the book on white allyship. If there, and this is one of the things that, due to the fact of what type of podcast we have and the type of people we are, we cover a lot of different bases, and we don't try to race this thing out. But when you see somebody being the prototype, the archetype of what an ally actually looks like, don't leave them with a fucked up team. Hire a bunch of black coaches who know what they're doing. Give praise
And don't leave the cupboard bare. He didn't leave the
Yes.
cupboard bare.
Yes. And on top of that, respectfully lift up those guys and give them the shine that they deserve for making your job easier. But that
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure we pause and take a moment to look at what he's doing. So when people say I don't know what to do, this is it.
right. So the thing about this statement and why I said I wanted to break this statement down is because I think Bruce Arians took a shot at Tom Brady with this statement, as well as bigging up Byron Leftwich. Killed two birds with one stone, if you think so. So let's start out with I get credit. He says he gets credit for the offense. Tom Brady allegedly was not upset, but felt some type of way of how Bruce Arians ran his team. Bruce Arians was a CEO coach. If you're unfamiliar with what a CEO coach is, we talk about it extensively when referring to Mark Richt and Dabo Swinney. Those are coaches that don't actually coach a position. They are overseer. They see everybody else working, and then they make the final touches to the game plan. They make the decisions if they go for it on fourth down, stuff like that. But they don't actually finish. They don't actually put the game plans together. Go ahead.
If you're familiar with Bobby Bowden and how he had like this tower above practice, and he's just the guy moving people around, but not actually hands-on on offense, defense, or special teams, this is very similar.
Yep. Bobby Bowden was definitely, and that's what Mark Richt learned it from. I think about it because he was his offensive coordinator.
Right. And Jimbo. Well, Jimbo's a little bit more defense, but still, at this point.
Jimbo Fisher? Yeah. Jimbo is offense, though. Jimbo is a defensive, he's in on the plays. Dabo Swinney is not. Mark Richt was not. Bruce Arians, according to Tom Brady, was not. So when he says I get credit, he's alluding to that, yes, I got credit, but I didn't do much in terms of I didn't put the game plan together. Then he says, and this is alluding to what you said about Tom Brady when you said they changed to play Tom Brady ball at the second part of the season. And Bruce Arians multiple times took shots at Tom Brady, even when they were winning. This is another shot to me. Tom Brady gets way too much credit. To add in the too much, way too much, he said, I get credit, Tom Brady gets credit, is what he could have said. Or it's Tom Brady and I get way too much credit. He said, I get credit and Tom Brady gets way too much credit for what Byron Leftwich has done with our offense. That's a shot to me. Because it's basically saying, like, nah, Tom, you weren't the one. And I don't care if I'm stretching before I'm reaching. That's what we're supposed to do. You weren't the one that you get all of the accolades and praise for the offense, but Byron Leftwich was the offensive coordinator and put together those game plans.
So it's tricky for me. Tom has battered child syndrome anyway. He used to coaches treating him like, pretty awfully. So I think that, and Tom is pretty non-self-serving. So is there probably a little bit of shot in there because I don't think that Bruce Arians and Tom get along great? Yes, but I think that both of those guys, it may be a little sneak diss in there. And I'm not going to say that it's not because they're not the best of friends. But I think that both of them.
I see you think it's a sneak diss. I think that was almost plain as day.
You think that's on wax? That's right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it's hidden. It depends on how you take it. It's for your own interpretation. And if it's up for your own interpretation, then for me, it is kind of veiled. But I think that both parties, both Tom and Bruce Arians, are okay with Byron Leftwich getting the credit. And on top of that, he deserves. There are so many people who are getting these interviews who are not anywhere near as talented as Byron Leftwich. Dan Quinn.
Not at calling plays and putting together the modern game plan. He's the one that started Jameis Winston.
Dan Quinn. Dan, I don't even know Dan's middle name. I want to say his whole name, but
Patrick.
as much, I would not even want to confuse him with Dan Patrick because Dan Patrick is an excellent broadcaster. But with that said, I just don't like him and Eric Bieniemy are the reason that Flores and Wilkes have to move forward with this lawsuit, which we will get to. But it's egregious to me. And shout out once again to Bruce Arians giving
I
him
kind of
some
forgot. I
shine.
was about to say something about a coach when you were saying Dan Quinn, but I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Oh, you might be talking about Kellen
Um,
Moore, another guy getting a lot of credit for nothing.
no,
Uh,
it is what it is. But yeah, my thought totally left me. With that being said, man, I guess we'll end it here because I don't really have anything to say anymore about Byron Leftwich. He deserves to at least be a head coach, or deserves to be a head coach somewhere. I mean, you hired Urban Meyer, and Byron Leftwich is much more proven track record.
and probably will not get caught up with the hoes.
Yeah. So moving on, man. What do you think about this? The game of baseball has tried to they've made some changes to try and make it more interesting. One was the early ones was they interview the managers during the game. Second one was the universal DH. Third one that I really didn't think was going to be that interesting, I didn't think that players were going to do it, was interviewing players in the middle of the game, i.e. the Red Sox outfielder who was interviewed, and he literally called, it was like Tony Romo calling the AFC Championship. He called the play and said exactly what he needed to do. And worst case scenario was that they basically hit a blooper single so that they could come around and score. He's got to keep the Yankees runner from getting to second,
getting in scoring position,
keep him out of scoring position. I thought that was pretty dope because the fact it takes you into the mind. The managers just give you all that little BS is politically correct. The players are telling you, okay, this is exactly what you're going to do in the outfield, or this is what I have to do, and let's see if it works. That's pretty dope to me.
Yeah, specifically because baseball's strategy isn't the most obvious. And if you don't really play baseball, the nuance of the game can easily get lost. It's just hit the ball, run, catch. But it's way deeper than that. But most of us just don't know it. And I mean, the interviewing the managers is cool, but it's baseball managers. These guys like 50, 60
years old. Just they can't relate to anybody.
It's not going to be the connection. They're there to manage a game. Baseball managers are the best out of everybody of staying kind of like out of the way. That's what they do. Hey, I'm gonna manage this team. I'm not here for the spotlight. I'm not here, unless it's like a really egregious call. They just mostly stay out of the way instead of like basketball coaches you see all the time. Football coaches are their own persona. Baseball managers, for the most part, just kind of, stay out of the way. So that's just not their wheelhouse. But these players,
there's also, well, go ahead.
The players who the MLB hasn't done the greatest job of connecting its players to its fans. Like, Bryce Harper is going to go down as one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Really don't know much about him. And I think that this is an opportunity for.
Do you care to know more about Bryce Harper? I've kind of seen all I need to see.
If there was more given to me, I would be interested in more of it. And,
I would say it does. A lot of my thoughts on him are assumptions. So yes. That's a fair point.
Okay, let me give you a better example. Like a guy who we love, Heredia. You telling me you're going to interview him mid-game and you don't think I'm going to turn it up and hear what Heredia has to say? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We literally listen to any soundbite that we can find of him. And, I think that this is a great time to really get a chance to know baseball players. Oh, or Young Jock. Unfortunately, not with the Braves anymore. But I would, that's another guy. Mic him up. let's interview him at any point. I want to hear what Jock Peterson has to say.
So this is kind of like the evolution of mic'd up, where you have a mic'd up player and they go and edit it, but this is like real time.
Yes.
So, that's what I was going to say about the managers. You said baseball managers are better at staying out of the way. It's true, yes, but they also don't have the instantaneous ability to talk to a referee right then and there when they have a grievance, right? So
absolutely.
With baseball, if like basketball is continuous. They run by them every play. Football, you have timeouts, they call them over and all that stuff. Baseball ain't really you don't get too many timeouts. One, two, the only time you can really talk to them, you have to actually come out there and walk to them, and you have to stop the entire game. So it's almost like you're like that mom in Little League that just decides to walk out onto the field and stop the entire game. That's your role. So you kind of have to be even keeled. But the downside of that is them little grievances they have be building up and building up. And then finally, I can't take it no more. And they go and cuss the manager out and throw the second base, which I'm okay with seeing that too. That's entertaining.
One day we're going to get into the fact, and I'm going to spiral here quickly. The non-African American dominated sports you can wild out in.
Yeah, hockey, they let you fight.
Baseball, they let you fight too. It's an understood rule. It comes with it. NASCAR,
and they let you throw a baseball at you.
Yes,
at 100 miles an hour.
And it's understood. It's a part of the game. Oh, he hit my man. I get to hit him back. That's not how you can't do that in basketball. You can't even leave the bench in basketball. But we will get into that later. I like this. I like baseball doing anything to try to kind of clean up make it more interesting. I feel like they've waited a long time to figure out that, hey, we should probably do some things, but I guess better late than never. And I do want to ask you, like, are you a coach on the side? I see you got the whiteboard back there with the marker, and are you calling plays?
So I actually was going to clear that off after this segment. I was hoping you didn't bring any attention to the desk and everything.
No, I think that we should have you like drawing up plays in the back. Like,
I was trying to think. I was thinking of being like on around the horn.
No, you got to be John Gruden.
He has the drawing. No, I ain't
got it.
I'm not being John Gruden. Racist?
Yeah, Gruden's grinders, and you got to like call plays and then
Hey, yo, first off, not racist, and there's no grinder, nothing over here. So, nah.
You made that clear. Come on, man. It was
all right, man. We come to the end of the pregame, man, because Norwood is tripping. Let's get to the HBC. Let's get to the Around the League edition of episode 52 of the Splash Cast, the HBCU, around news around the culture, news around basketball, football as well, and then we round it out with splashes of the week. Y'all stay tuned.
The Red Bull is kicking in, ladies and gents. It's time to go up.